Russell Potter here, russellpotter.com. It's part 2 in the series about having difficult conversations and managing poor performance. A very difficult conversation to have. So this is part 2 of the video sequence. And what we're going to talk about today is exactly what you need to say at that meeting to have a really professional and successful conversation. So the first thing you want to do is spell out the context. So it's very, very useful right at the beginning to say, look, we're in the second half of the year. As you know, our goal is to hit this target and achieve this mission. And this is where we are so far. So put out the context to begin with, where we are in the mission, where we are in the goal, why it's important to the business as well is an excellent thing to get across. The next thing you need to spell out is, of course, what the problem is. So you would want to try to have as much evidence as you possibly can before you have this conversation. You must prepare for this conversation very well with definites. Try to leave out as many of the subjective opinions. You don't seem to be working hard. It's not going to cut it in this conversation. You need to say, I noticed that you've made a lot of mistakes recently and here's a few of them. Or you haven't hit this target or this KPI. You need to have that evidence ready to then spell out the problem. That's very, very important. And the next thing you need to do is to say what you need. So spell out exactly what you expect to see next. So here's the context for the problem. Here's where we are as an organization. This is the problem as I see it right now. And this is what I need from you next. So it could be, I need you to hit this KPI. I need you to make these numbers. I need you to make this target. Okay? Or I need you to do these activities. And I need to see that within this time frame. Okay, so that's the third thing you need to cover off. Next thing you need to cover off is, of course, giving them an opportunity to respond. Now remember, there is the informal performance conversation, which of course you would start with, and there is the formal conversation that you could have under a formal performance management review. So you would certainly want to give them the opportunity to respond. If it's the formal opportunity to respond, you should already know, because you've had the informal conversations, what some of their current issues, maybe outside of work or in work, what they are. You shouldn't be surprised by that. If it's the first conversation you have, make it a coaching conversation. Okay, so you want to ask, well, what do you think about this situation? Am I correct? And what's the reason? Always use what's the reason rather than why. What's the reason it's happening at the moment? You want to use your coaching skills here and really listen and factor in what they're saying. Are they correct? Is it understandable? But what you absolutely must do at this point is stick to your guns. You must stay firm on what you need. You must stay firm on the outcome that you want. If you feel that the performance is suboptimal, it's letting the team down, stay firm on this. It's very, very important. In the informal conversation, it is almost guaranteed. You'll get some honesty from that conversation. Honestly, yeah, I guess you're right at the moment. I'm really sorry about that. Let me do what I can. You should get some honesty at that conversation if it's informal. Not every time, but usually in my experience. In the formal situation, it's a different story altogether. Because there are higher stakes involved in that the formal conversation, you're highly likely to get a load of excuses back. Well, this is why I don't agree with you, which is why having the evidence is important. But you'll get pushback on that. Stay firm. And this is your job as a professional. This is your job as a manager, to stay firm, to reiterate your point. Say, yes, I understand these things. However, as a professional, other people in the department as well also have problems outside of work or also have personal issues going on. But I need to maintain a baseline of performance in this department. Unfortunately, you're falling below that. We need to help you back up towards top performance again. Okay, so they give them an opportunity to respond, of course, but stay firm, especially in the formal process. Now, you need to explain the consequences next of what will happen if performance doesn't improve. It's not enough to just have that conversation. Well, I've kind of noticed your performance is bad right now. It's falling below standard. It's not enough. They need to understand what the consequences are. So in the informal conversation, you simply want to point out that, look, I'll do everything I can to help you get back up to top performance. I expect to see an improvement in the next 1 month. I got to tell you that if I don't see an improvement, I'm obliged, as part of my job, I'm obliged as my responsibility for the team and managing team performance and fairness to the rest of the team, that if I don't see an improvement, I may have to make this a formal process. I don't want that to happen. I don't think it needs to happen. I think you can improve. So that's the consequence that you want to get across in the informal conversation. Now, in the formal conversation, you need to explain there is a timeline on improvements that we expect to see. Under the guidelines, under the policy for poor performance, we expect to see an improvement within 1 month. If we don't see an improvement within 1 month, I'm afraid we may have to move you to the next stage of the disciplinary or performance management policy, which would be stage 2. And I've got to tell you, if it goes to the next stage, we don't see an improvement after that, and we'll try our best to help you, then we may be talking a termination situation. I have to formally point that out to you. The next part of the conversation is the most important part, and it's so important that we're going to save it for the next video, because it's worth taking some time on this next point. So vital to this conversation. It's the make or break point of the conversation. So we'll move that to part 3 of this series on managing poor performance. Keep an eye out for that video. So if you like this video, please like it and share it. Definitely subscribe to this channel. We release new material all the time in videos based on management, leadership, performance, and a lot of the problems that other managers are having right now. We've got answers to those questions from my 20 years of leadership development around the world for multinational corporations. I'll share that experience with you. If you really want to take it to the next level, strongly encourage you to take the leadership certification course that we have on Udemy to get your next leadership position, to take it to the next level of leadership, but to get your next leadership role. Because to get your next leadership role, you will be asked about your leadership expertise. So it'd be good to answer that question with some formal training. And the link is below. So that's our Udemy course. I encourage you to take that course. But thanks for watching, and look out for part 3 of this video. It's the most important part of this series.